This video is dedicated to Mrs. Susan Olsen from Still Valley Senior High School in Munhall, PA. Today is March 31st, 2014, and it is also my 19th year anniversary in America. Every anniversary year, I reflect back on the first couple of years that I was brand new in this country. I was so scared, I was so nervous. I didn't know if I would ever be accepted, and I didn't know if I would ever learn to speak English. And as I reflect on these first couple of years, I always thought of Mrs. Susan Olsen. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate all of my teachers, and I'm very grateful of all my teachers because they dedicated a lot of time to teaching me. However, Mrs. Susan Olsen was completely different, and I didn't know how or why until 3 days ago. And I want everyone to know how great this woman really is and how she really changed my life. First, let me share with you how I figure it out. I am a sales professional, and everyone knows that the sales industry is one of the hardest industry to be in. And I'm very fortunate that in the last 2 years, I earned a lot of my clients' trust to the point where whatever I put on the table, they took it and paid the price. And I asked why they trust me so much, and they said, because you always go that extra mile. And that's when I finally pinpointed why Mrs. Susan Olsen is so memorable to me. When I was in her class, I struggled with reading, and she volunteered to record herself on a cassette tape. If you're too young, it's a little thing. Anyway, she volunteered to record herself reading the chapters of the textbook so that I can follow along at home. Every day, she would spend about an hour or so after school to read these pages from the textbook, and every single night I would listen to it, follow along at my own pace, and learn to read English. I always thank Mrs. Susan Olsen for teaching me how to read English, but I know now that she did more than taught me English. She showed me what it is like to be a recipient of sincere generosity. She taught me how far that going the extra mile really is. For years, people who always ask me why I work so hard and do things that are not in my job description. Frankly, I don't know why either. I just do them. Now I know why I did those things. Because I had a great role model who taught me that you can really change someone's day just by going that extra mile. And how that extra mile that she did many, many years ago still impact my life today. I knew that it was not in her job description to record herself reading a textbook for just one student. The school didn't pay her any extra for that hour, and I definitely know for sure that she is not getting any kickbacks as I use my skills to make a living every single day. But she did it anyway. You see, I would have learned English no matter what, whether with or without Mrs. Susan Olsen. Mrs. Susan Olsen showed me how great it is to be a recipient of generosity. Here's the difference. It's one thing to see an act of good deed and a completely different thing to be a recipient of that good deed. The difference is when you're seeing a good deed, you say, wow, that person is amazing, and I hope one day I will be able to do that for someone. And by being the recipient, you say, wow, I have to give someone the same exact feeling. And as the result of that, I am a better student, a better daughter, a better sister, a better friend, a better businesswoman, and a better person. All because I learned the power of going an extra mile from being a recipient of Mrs. Susan Olsen's generosity. I'm not special. Mrs. Susan Olsen always put her student first. She always has this positive energy. And I am so fortunate, and I will forever be grateful that I was one of her students. If you were, or if you are a student of Mrs. Susan Olsen, I encourage you to be grateful and to share with people how great this woman is. Mrs. Susan, I thank you very much.